with my work as a medium, I've done a lot of teaching practice, helping people to develop their skills right from the very start and taking them right the way through until they get to a point where they're able to demonstrate, firstly in a spiritualist church and eventually even on a theatre platform. It's a long haul, it takes a long time, but of course a lot of people want to know, how do you ever get started? How do you ever get started doing psychic work? You might get a few sort of glimpses sometimes of psychic things. You might pick something up about someone. You might have a dream that comes true. And there's lots of spontaneous ways that ordinary people, everybody does in fact, gets psychic flashes of some sort or the other. So how do you begin to sort of take this a step further and start taking a serious interest? Well, the way to start really is to join a psychic development group, or as some call it, a psychic awareness group initially. These are often found in spiritualist churches, for example, or people like me and other mediums might run small development circles. And, don't expect immediate results, because it takes many years to develop as a medium. And then once you are developed as a medium, it takes many more years practicing as a medium, because you're learning every time you do a demonstration of mediumship. Okay, so you learn slowly. It's a long process. You don't play a Stradivarius violin to perfection in your first lesson, do you? But getting started is often the hardest thing. And I used to find this when people first joined my circles. I thought, how can I get people talking? Because half the battle is getting people to have the courage to have a go and say something, So I struck upon an idea of working with the idea of the Rorschach Ink Blots, or an equivalent of them. Now there was the Rorschach Ink Blots, you've probably seen him in the movies and things like that, where you look at an ink blot, it's like a butterfly thing, where you squeeze the ink together and make a butterfly, right? You know how to do that. I've done it at school and all sorts of things like that. But basically, you look in and you see pictures, and you say, "Oh yes, I see a naked lady." Ha! What does that mean? They used to use it as a way of interpreting a person's unconscious content. What is going on in the part of our mind we don't know about, right? So I thought, well, actually, what we're doing first and foremost with mediumship and psychic work and the rest of it, we've got to get the information from somewhere. And it's not coming from our rational mind. It kind of wells up in us through the unconscious mind. The subconscious, people call it as well. That part of ourselves that we don't know about, where things just appear, right? So like dreams come from there, for example. They come up from nowhere sometimes. You've not thought about what's going to be in the content of a dream. It just appears, doesn't it? See? So it's the same with psychic things. Things come to you out of the blue. You can't say, I'm going to have a psychic experience. It doesn't happen like that. It kind of just happens. Oh, how did I know that? So on the path to becoming able to do this all the time, you have to start to plug into that part of you that gives you spontaneous, kind of irrational information, and then trust it. So I took an idea to a publisher to produce a set of cards about this, which I produced in a book that is now out of print. But it was done some time ago. It was called, I'm just opening it up here, it was a pack actually called put it that side, it was called the Intuition Pack. You can get it on Amazon and things like that now, but it is overpriced, so don't go and buy it, because people are asking silly money for it. And you can do a lot of this yourself actually, because what I designed was a set of cards, right? Like the Rorschach Ink Blots, right? So each card has an ink blot on it, so you don't have to get messy making ink blots all the time. Okay, so each card would be so a person would be given a card, and first of all asked to see what pictures they see in it. Now I have recently republished it in a sort of a simpler form in my book called Intuitive Knowledge. So all this what I'm talking about today will be in that book, and of course a lot more about how to do it. So I'm spilling the beans here, because I'm going to tell you basically the main things that you can do. But the book will give you some additional guidance, right, and a list of symbols and things like that. Okay, back to what we do. So I've got someone sat in front of me. This is a good technique for any of you out there that running circles, for example, getting newbies talking and working on it. And I ask, what can you see in the card? Have a look at the card, and I give them a card, and they look at it, and they see pictures, and they say, oh, I see so and so and such as that. Then you teach them how to interpret those symbols that you're seeing. Because, okay, we might see obvious things. Okay, we might see a butterfly. Okay, yeah, it's a butterfly. Okay, everybody can see that. But look deeper, you know. And when you start looking into the cards, you can see different pictures. Now, you don't have to make the cards, because you can make your own ink blots. And that's what I often do at my circles now, is get everybody to make this sort of thing. Okay, there we go. So there's an ink blot, right? And you make it by dropping a bit of ink on, dropping a bit of water on, folding it together, you know, and squeezing it together, making yourself messy, open it up like you know, like you did at school to make butterflies, and there you are with a sort of a simple blot. And this can even be part of the reading process. The person, because I'm going to show you not just about how to read for yourself, but how to read for someone else through these. So the thing to do first of all is to make sure you start looking into it in detail. You know, you might see the reverse image. The white there might make a shape. What's that there? Looks a bit like an animal's skull or something. Whoops, there and so forth. You know, you can. The more you look in the white areas, you look in the faded areas. You can take a little section on the side. You can go take the whole thing or just a corner of it. Whatever you're drawn to. You see, you can make lots of them. You can try different ones for different questions and things like that. Whatever you're drawn to is coming from your unconscious as a sort of an answer, right? So first you work with them and use them on yourself and start to look at the pictures and say, what does that mean about me? You know, why am I seeing a person running? You know, oh, what does that mean? Am I running from something? You know, what is it I'm running away from in my life? You know, so it acts as a sort of a trigger, because all these tools are they're not things in themselves. They're not psychic. Cards aren't psychic. Tarot cards aren't psychic. You know, and so on. They're just tools that mediums and psychics use for triggering the unconscious process, for bringing that information out that's already there inside us. Okay, so you use the ink blots as a sounding board to yourself. It's like a mirror to your unconscious mind, and what you're basically seeing is the same things you're seeing like in a dream. It's like having a dream but wide awake and looking into those pictures and saying, what does that mean about me? So your mind is actually projecting onto the cards, as it were, so that you're sort of projecting these thoughts, as it were, into the pictures, and that's you. Those images are talking about you. Same as you look in the clouds, you know, you can look at the clouds going by and they make pictures and shapes and things. You did it as a child a lot, you know. But actually, why are you seeing one thing and someone else sees something else, you know? What you're seeing is a reflection of what's going on in your own mind. I mean, the mind will put pictures, particularly faces, onto just about any random thing. It likes to make sense of things. I mean, even a couple of dots and a straight line can make the shape of a face. You know, we can make faces out of all sorts of strange things. So this is we're taking advantage here of the brain's natural propensity to project onto random shapes, and what we're projecting is from inside ourselves. Okay, so that's the start. Okay, we can use it like psychologists did to see what's going on in the unconscious mind. The Freudian psychologists would look for things that were repressed or hidden away, or things you didn't really want to talk about, and things like that. You know, it was a way of sort of interacting with this talking therapy. But we can also try another way, because when you think about it, where does psychic stuff come from? You know, that comes through exactly the same process. It comes, like I said at the beginning, it comes sort of out of the blue, out of our unconscious mind. Our thoughts have to come from somewhere, and they pop into our head. But sometimes we're picking up things like through telepathy and other forms of clairvoyance directly from the person in front of us. So our ability to see something for someone else comes through that same process. That's why often psychics pick things up in a sort of symbolic way, or they might hear a tune or something like that. They're picking up things that come up from the subconscious mind, like a subconscious singing or subconscious imagery. It doesn't come from the rational. The more you bring your rational mind into doing a psychic reading, the worse it gets, because you can immediately fall flat on your face. That's why, you know, people don't, over-rational people don't really gel very well with being able to use this intuitive side of themselves. It messes it all up, basically. So if you're going to read for someone else, you see, what you do is you get them to make the ink blot, and then they hand you their ink blot. You look at the pictures you see in there and interpret those pictures for them. Now, another thing this might remind you of is tea leaf reading, because that works in the same basic idea, doesn't it? The leaf at the top of the rim means think of pictures of events that are near to you, and further down, further away, or whichever way you want to interpret it. The left means this, the right means that. Basically, you're just using the same process. You're using this idea of looking for pictures, interpreting those pictures, then looking to your own unconscious mind and saying, what is that telling me about the person in front of me? So it's teaching the beginner to look to their unconscious mind to get the information, not to look to their rationality, not to look out to the person's face or gestures and all that sort of thing, but to look within to find those psychic powers. So it's very simple, really. I mean, it's a very simple technique that you can try on someone. There's a lot more I can explain about this, because we can divide it up into different things and do all sorts of different things. But think of the pictures as symbols for that person's life. So basically, if you see an image in there, it's like, you might see a boat or something, and then you might ask, well, would I be right in saying that you're about to have on a journey, possibly on a boat, Oh, yes, I am. And then you look for another picture, say, the shape of a map there. Oh, that looks like Australia. Is it going to Australia? Yes, we are. You see, your unconscious will start to project into that shape all sorts of other information. And, this is beginner's stuff to get you started. You will get a great deal wrong, but you'll get some right and you'll get some wrong. But eventually, you'll start to get more and more in tune with your unconscious mind. And this is the best of all, first step to really trying out your psychic skills, having a go, And that's it. Simple, easy. And I hope that's inspire you to go and have a try. Leave some messages in the comments. I'd like to know how you get on. If you tried this technique, have got any other ideas? I mean, there's other ways of doing this. I said about clouds. How about looking into the embers of fire? There's an interesting way to see to see pictures. We used to do that as a child, well, when we had coal fires. I'm going back here. And the oldest of all, actually, they used to do this in the sacrificial fires of the, and the priests, to make a prophecy, used to look at the entrails of dead animals, right? So there's one you can try in the living room with the kids, all right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that, and talk to you next time. Bye for now. Jane and I now do our spiritual work for our foundation. All the profits that come from things like our conferences and theatres and workshops and all those exciting things now go into this foundation, which ultimately has the long-term plan of building centres in the UK and maybe around the world one day. But meanwhile, we've been doing a lot of direct spiritual work with it. We've been going out, feeding people in India, giving to the destitute, giving to beggars. We've helped feed schools, helped orphanages, and we've even given cows to older people that have no other form of income. So mediumship can change your life, but it can also help people directly in the world. So go to the links at the end and find out all about what Jane and I are trying to do. And you can do a lot just by sharing these videos on social media. Help us get the word out. Help us to do something really good in this world. Click on this picture of me to subscribe to our channel and see all of our latest videos as soon as they're published. Or click on this next video for more of our stuff.